As it turns out, talking to yourself isn't crazy. In fact, it could be your superpower. The catch? The way you're doing it is probably working against you rather than for you. Here's the good news. A simple 3-step formula, when applied to the way you're talking to yourself, can not only make you feel happier, but it can get you unstuck and keep you there. How cool is that? Talking to yourself has the power to change just about everything in your life. Don't believe me? Here's why it works. How many times have you tried to explain something to someone that you're sure that you understand because you've been thinking about it forever? And then the minute you try to explain it, all of a sudden you realize that you're not as clear as you thought you were. When thoughts are kind of knocking around in our brains, they're more like vapor than something as concrete as language. And when we speak them out loud, we turn them into something concrete, something actionable, something that we can do something with. The second thing that happens when you speak your thoughts out loud is you recognize your own voice as an expert, and you believe what that voice is telling you. So when you speak your thoughts out loud, you're actually offering power and credibility, and that goes a long way. The most important reason this works is that self-talk is a lifelong coping strategy. You developed it to keep yourself safe from the expectations and judgments of others. We were all born like little parakeets. We loved ourselves. We looked in the mirror and thought we were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we stayed that way until we not only became self-aware, but we became aware that other people had thoughts about us too. And that's when the uh-ohs started. Uh-oh, I better not do that again. Uh-oh, I'm too big for my britches. Uh-oh, I'm too loud. So you developed a coping strategy around all of those uh-ohs. You created an entire way of thinking and behaving to keep you safe from those uh-ohs. And let's face it, they pile on decade after decade. And you practice this self-talk, this coping strategy, decade after decade. It becomes hardwired. It means you have a hardwired system in place for making choices and for navigating the world. Our goal here is to train it so that it's navigating you toward what you want rather than away from what you fear. And here's how. Before we get started on the 3 steps, remember that doing it out loud, talking to yourself out loud, makes a big difference because you hear yourself as an expert and you believe what you're saying, and because it helps you to make those thoughts concrete and therefore actionable. The second thing I want you to remember is this is not a one and done deal. This self-talk has been happening minute by minute, day after day for decades, for most of your life. And in order to shift it, you're going to have to practice this regularly. The more you repeat it, the more quickly you'll start to feel things shift in your life. Okay, so here's what you do. Number 1, this is super important. Let your voice have the truth. Don't try to squelch it. Don't try to pretend you're not afraid. You have to tell yourself the truth because trust me, you'll know if you're lying to yourself. So in step 1, this is verbalizing out loud all of the things that that voice is telling you that you're afraid of. Remember, you're talking to yourself out loud. So in step 1, you're just going to agree with yourself. Here's what that sounds like. Yeah, I know. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'm going to fail. I'm afraid that it's not going to work out. I'm afraid that it's too late. And yeah, I remember the time that happened and it was terrible and I felt awful and I was humiliated and I don't want that to happen again. You let yourself have it. Play it out. Say your fears to yourself out loud. Oh yeah, I know that. I know that I'm afraid. I know that I'm worried about that. I know that happened in the past. In step 2, this is the transitional step. Here's where you're going to tell yourself something else that you also know. And so many people get trapped here because they think that means an affirmation where you say, oh no, that's not true. Everything's really great. That's another version of lying to yourself. In step 2, you have to find something else that is also equally true for you. The easiest way to do this is to say, yes, I know that. I know all of those things, but I also know that I don't want to move backward anymore. I don't want to be stuck anymore. I really want to move forward in my life. And if that means a little failure, a little humiliation, a little whatever, I'm game. Step 3, so I'm going to. And this is the step of action. And action can be something enormous, so I'm going to set a date for my retirement. It can be something small, so I'm going to push send on that email. it can be something that is an inaction. So I'm going to let this go for the day and just be for a while. Any action at the end of this works because our goal here is to just train your brain to have different self-talk. And you can understand when you listen to those 3 steps, how after you practice it just for a day or so, it becomes a very natural process. Boop, there's that negative thought. I'm afraid of this. You let yourself have it. You say it out loud instead of letting it just ruminate in your head. Oh yeah, I'm really worried about that. And I remember when this happened. Step 2, but I also know this. I don't want to be afraid anymore. I want to be brave. I want to live into my best self. I want to live into my authentic self. Step 3, so I'm going to. You can see how that takes a very simple circuit that's kind of the way that we think anyway, only now it's proactive rather than protective. And that's it. 3 simple steps. Talking to yourself out loud every day has the power to completely change your life. If you found this useful, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that little notification bell so that you know when the next video comes up. And until next time, big love.